Hey everybody, how we doing? Welcome along to Paranormal Monkey Podcast. Hope you're good. It's going to be a slightly different one this week, just because for once this is going to be a pre-recorded interview. So basically, while you're watching this, I will be in the live chat watching with you. But unfortunately, this interview's had to be done pre-recorded simply because time differences is quite a big difference. I think it's like an 8-hour difference between where Matt is and in the UK time. So Matt would be halfway through his work shift essentially when if we did try to do this live, and that's not going to be possible. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to get Matt straight in, and because for those that don't know Matt, well, he can explain in a second. So he's a award-winning documentary filmmaker. I'm so pleased to have him on. He's well known for a documentary called The Harrisville Haunting about the Real Conjuring House, which is very much in the news at the minute. However, he is currently in the process of making a brand new documentary, which he tells me is going to be bigger and better and more intriguing and more engaging than even the Harrisville Haunting documentary is, which without saying too much more, I'm going to bring in Matt because he can do it for himself. How are we doing?
Doing great. How's it going?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much. So first of all, welcome. I'm seeing some people. Actually, some people are in the chat. This has gone live. So hey ho, this is interesting because I wasn't going to be planning on live. So hey ho, what we'll do. Hey, it's all good. So Matt, then. Welcome along to the podcast. So straight away, for those that don't know you, that aren't aware of what you've done in the past and things like that, do you want to just tell people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I've been investigating the paranormal since the summer of 2011. So I was 16 years old when I started, and I got interested into the paranormal because of personal experiences when I was a child. I used to see shadow people all the time. And that's what really got me kind of hooked, I would say. Sorry, not hooked, like I didn't start to investigate yet, but more of like interested in the paranormal, the shadow people. And like I also heard a couple voices when I was trying to go to sleep. I heard my name being called once, and then it sounded just like someone I knew. So I went to go see if that person called me, and she said no, never called me. And I was like, okay. That was weird. And so that was basically, I was already a believer in the paranormal because of my personal experiences as a child and objects being moved sometimes too. But it wasn't until the summer of 2011 when I was at the Old Washoe Club in Virginia City, Nevada, where I went into the crypt, and there was basically a story of a little girl spirit being there and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I want to ask. For the first time throughout my entire life, because of all the paranormal experiences I've had, I never tried to communicate with it.
Yeah.
This was the first time I've ever communicated with this entity. An entity, I should say. And then first off, this was interesting. Okay. So I'm asking questions. If there's a little girl here, can you please move something or make some kind of noise? And I'm not even kidding you. 5 seconds later, after I asked that question, a piece of brick is thrown. And there's 2 other girls that were in the crypt with me. They started screaming. We ran out because I wasn't an investigator yet. So yeah, I did run at the time. I know. Pussy. I don't do that anymore, okay? But anyway, at the time, it was my first experience of actually communicating with something, and that got me hooked. And I was like, okay, now I want to do this for a living. I was already intrigued by the paranormal. That really got me. I was like, okay, so it's kind of like the TV shows and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay, this kind of changed things for me. So I was like, you know what? I'm in. I want to do this.
And were you always kind of interested in the filmmaking aspect, or was it kind of the investigating first?
Okay, this is what's very interesting about my life, how everything just led up perfectly to doing what I'm doing now. So what's weird about it is that ever since I was a kid, I've been very intrigued with the filmmaking aspect of watching behind the scenes. Like everything was on DVD at the time when I was younger. before all the behind the scenes now is on YouTube. But the behind the scenes on I was watching all the movie behind the scenes. I was very fascinated by it. And then on top of that, my two favorite subjects in school, high school, middle school, was history and science. I was like, so it's kind of weird that I was interested in filmmaking, interested in history and science. All those things I was very fascinated. And this literally combines all three of those things. So
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting that my life kind of led to that, plus my personal experiences as a child. So yeah, so in the long run, finally 16 years old, have that personal experience. I was like, okay, I'm going to create my own team and start investigating. Because to be honest, I was in California. This is before paranormal was big. I was around before it was big on YouTube. The only big places paranormal was on TV, like Ghost Adventures at the time too, because 2011. And so those are like the two biggest shows at the time, and Paranormal State also. And so when I was interested in it based off of my personal experiences that happened, and then I was like, I'm gonna make my team. So I created a very cringe name. I was 16 years old when I thought of.
You're allowed. It's fine. You're a teenager. It's okay.
So I created the name called Paranormal Extreme Crew. They changed that. And then basically I just invited my friends, and my friends were not in it like I was. They were more in it for the thrill. I was actually in it because I was truly curious about the phenomena and wanted to understand it more.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between, like, I think a lot of like, I feel like that's how YouTube is actually. I feel like YouTube mostly is more about the people that are in it for the thrill over actually researching the paranormal. And that's a problem in my opinion. And they're more about the entertainment side of it too. And so anyway, kind of backtracking here. So I was creating my own team with my friends. I was doing that team for like 2 years, since 2011 to 2013. Then I meet Dante Reeder, who was a part of Soul Seekers. He was on the Travel Channel for the Paranormal Challenge show that Zach Bagans did.
Yeah.
He won. And I actually decided to join his team because he was the first guy I found in California. Temecula, California is where I lived at the time. The only guy I found that was actually interested and into it like I was. So I was like, okay, I'll join Soul Seekers. It wasn't my team. And then that was when I had like actually the most activity of my life when it came to the paranormal, was when it was Dante and I. When things were just insane, off the charts, weird. And I think this is going to go lead, my life experience of the paranormal is going to lead into another documentary that's that I'm planning on doing in the future. But I do have a feeling that psychology has a huge aspect, and it's a huge aspect of the paranormal. Yeah. And I have my reasonings and beliefs in that now. But at the time, I didn't really know this. I was actually a lot more religious too at the time. I would say I'm still religious, but not as like crazy about it as I used to be. And so back then, the experiences was, I would say, very intriguing. Got some great stuff. Also, obviously, I could debunk a lot of things now because you learn over time. The whole damn dust orbs on videos and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously, a couple of things kind of strikes me. Most of the documentaries, it's pretty much you. Going out, doing things for yourself, directing, editing, putting it all together. So you've got full creative control over your documentaries, and you also are kind of going into things really quite skeptically, and you open yourself up to criticism as well. And you are actually not to criticism, but you open yourself up saying, look, here's my raw footage. Take a look. You stream your own editing. So anybody at any stage can basically look in on you and just see exactly what you're doing on screen. Was that a conscious decision as part of trying to be very upfront and honest about your approach?
Always. So here's the thing that I think this is very important. Also, I see Mythos in the chat. So Mythos, I think he would appreciate this too, because this is important to everyone out there. Always keep your raw footage, and I think you should always be open for peer review from the paranormal community and the debunking community. You should be open for peer review. So if someone has a question or wants to debunk your evidence, you'd be like, you should be open to that.
Yeah.
I don't think you're doing true paranormal research if you're not open to criticism and open to you being wrong about things, because then you're just being biased, having a cognitive dissonance issue, and that's not what the paranormal should be about. If you're going to do true paranormal research, you're going to have to be completely open to being wrong and be completely transparent with your audience and with the people you're showing your evidence to. And so that is something that's very, very important to me. And it always has been. It's just that the issue is like, it seems like that's not a big thing around in the community. Actually, to be honest, I'm the first person in the paranormal community that I know of that live streams the entire editing process for my episodes and documentaries.
I've got to say, you're the only person I know that does that. You know, in terms of, you know, kind of documentary filmmaker who's kind of that open to say, look, you know, don't take my word for it. This is everything I've got, and you can watch me every single step of the way. You know,
exactly. And it's a live stream, not recorded. It's a live stream, and so it just goes to show, like, that's how transparent I want to be with my audience, because I kind of built to that over time because I got tired of being called fake and everything. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Oh, can I cuss on here? I don't know.
Do what you want. I don't care.
Okay. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to start live streaming my entire editing process. And also it's to help. There's some people that go into my live streams when I'm editing and are actually interested in the editing process. So it also is cool to teach a little bit to those type of individuals that are just interested in the filmmaking process. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing. All of them are because the film's not out yet, and I make them public later. But they're right now, the live streams are for my YouTube members, and then I make it public when it's out. Yeah. When the film's out, then I don't care about it being public. But beforehand, I keep it like under wraps so I don't get all of it out there for everyone to see. So
yeah. But you know, you're never going to satisfy everybody. You know, there'll always be comments about, oh, you must have faked it. It must have done this and you must have done that. I mean, how, you know, for somebody who goes in and making a documentary like you do, how do you try and, I mean, can you satisfy those people, or do you think, do you know what, I can't satisfy everybody, so I'm just going to do my own thing? And
you cannot. Like, here's the thing, like, cognitive dissonance is a problem on both the skeptic side and also I would say the disbeliever side, and also the paranormals all the time. And so I say always be straight in the middle, but there's a lot of people out there and the just complete disbelievers think everything you're doing is fake. They're not going to even take time of the day to do their own research into the person either. So this isn't everyone. This is just a lot of, you could go look at my IMDb reviews, for example. Like, everyone, so many people thinking it's all fake. I was
yeah.
And I even did 2 different videos. One showing, like, okay, first off, this is not my footage for the ones that they're claiming was fake on the Harrisville Haunting. I was like, this isn't my footage. This is presented from someone else that are saying that this is their experience and what they captured. And I think it's kind of clear in the film, but some people just don't see that. So I made it literally a video on that. And then later I also was putting out my raw footage for anyone that wanted to see it. If someone was questioning the chair footage, the rocking chair footage. So I gave him a link to the raw footage, and he was able to actually debunk it. And it was an awesome job of him. I reviewed it myself. I basically looked at the 2 resting positions of before and after the chair initiates, both of them in its natural resting position after it stops moving. So I looked at it, stacked them up, 2 video files before and after, and you can see there's a tilt forward the chair was prior. And so I was like, oh, okay, it was stuck on the wall is what
right. Okay, yeah. But it's things like that so many people would just not bother kind of getting a debunker on board and just say, look, or not really examining their footage. They'll just react to it. There's so many kind of people who are just out and out, not faking, but out and out, just assuming everything is paranormal and not looking too much into their footage that they've got. I mean, just before we go any further, I think we really do need to talk about your new documentary. I mean, say new documentary, it's still being made. So you're kind of like halfway through it, pretty much.
Yeah, about halfway, almost halfway.
I think what we'll do is I'll share my screen. We'll put the Evil Unearthed trailer on the screen so everybody can watch it, and everyone can have a bit of a taste of this new documentary you're currently making. And then we'll go from there and we'll talk about it in a little bit more detail. So let me just share my screen a minute.
Okay, sounds good. I muted myself.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
I'm not hearing audio.
Over a decade of evidence collecting.
I would
Is dark.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Mysterious.
Just record us going in.
And something I don't think any of us expected.
Oh wow.
What? Nobody has ever got it on video in 11 years. Oh my god, why are you looking at me?
Yeah, wait.
Wait.
Oh my god.
This place is truly dark, nasty, and evil. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Oh my god. This is your epic day.
Everything about what just happened was very, very disturbing.
What the hell?
rolling. Yeah, I'm rolling.
Oh my god, this is awful.
Holy shit.
Let's get back on. There it is. There's a trailer for Evil Unearthed, and it just looks so good. So, first of all, Matt, Monroe House, which is where this is all based at Hartford City in Indiana. Obviously, there's a few familiar faces, like Joe Vitale, and for those that kind of are into the paranormal and things like that. So, what can you tell me about this location, first of all, and the history of it, and what you found out whilst creating the documentary?
So, okay. First, let me start off with this. Don't worry, there'll be a full quality version coming out in the future about a month before it releases. But just because there's some like skips in the audio a little bit, it's also lower quality. In the very beginning, there was no audio for a second. So, so it was like, but when it came in. So, anyway, okay. So for the history, so what made me interested in the place? I saw these interesting video from Living Dead Paranormal at the time. This before they were in controversy of other things. So this is like 2017 or 16 when I found the house, and I was like, huh, this is an interesting place, weird place, interesting. And so I was like, I was filming another documentary called Man versus Paranormal, and that's where I get stuck into 3 different buildings by myself for 3 days. And I was like, I want to do the Monroe house as one of those places. And so I was wanting to be stuck in there for 3 days. And so basically, originally they weren't allowing many investigators to investigate the place. So in 2016, I wasn't able to get access. It wasn't until 2017 they started opening it up to everyone again. And so this is when it came out on Paranormal Lockdown too. So it was just newly kind of on Paranormal Lockdown, and then they let access to the Monroe house again. And so that's when I got access to it. And then I filmed there for 3 days by myself. And then I captured something pretty cool when I was there by myself. I'm not going to spoil it. You're going to have to watch the film for it. But it was interesting. It was a very interesting place. But the thing is, it was so close to me. It was like a 50-minute drive away from where I was living at the time in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And actually, it was Decatur when I lived there. When I first went there. So I was in Decatur, but it was pretty close anyway. It was close and cheap. And then so I kept revisiting the place. And the more and more I visited the place, the more and more I was uncovering on the location, the more fascinating this place became. And I started to learn about the possible human remains inside the location. I started learning about the ritualistic items found in there. And I was like, okay, this is a very interesting case. And so I was like, this one, I feel like this place deserves its own documentary. And I canceled Man vs. Paranormal because at the time I was doing Man vs. Paranormal, I didn't feel like I was properly equipped with enough cameras to keep the film entertaining in the being alone investigating. So I canceled that film, but I will be probably doing another one in the future at a way better location. And I already know the place. It's just that it's literally perfect for being stuck on somewhere. So, but anyway,
I was to say, but you said just like before we came on air that actually so little is out there in the public domain about the history of this place, and
for the history,
so little's known about this house. I mean, what did you do to kind of find out about the history of this place?
So Joe, myself, and Karen did a deep dive into some of the history, and I found some interesting news articles applying to some of people's personal experiences in the house, like the history of abuse and everything in the house and stuff like that. So it's like all this I was able to find documentation on, and there was deaths in the house. No one's talking about those deaths either. It's like people are just lazy and just want to just do YouTube.
Yeah.
Don't care about the paranormal that much. The research aspect of the paranormal and the history. And they just like, oh, I'm just going to make something entertaining. It's just like a ghost video. And that's what's annoying to me. But with this one, it was not that hard to find some of this stuff, and no one's talking about it. And I was like, what the heck? The ones that was hard to get was like finding the person that did the rituals in the house.
Yeah.
And FYI, guys, this documentary, we found the guy that did the ritual in the house.
That's really cool. They actually managed to track that person down. I mean, obviously it's called Evil Unearthed, and whether you want to go into that too much more, but you actually found something in the kind of the was it the basement area, the kind of,
I could say it because it's literally on the poster and it's in the trailer. So it's I found a ritualistic like Blair Witch Project type stick figure inside the crawl space. And that when I found that, man, it felt like I was in a movie. I was like, what the hell's going on here? So I was like, it felt like I was in a actual horror film, because I never expected to find something like this inside of a location, hidden away inside of a building. I thought that was so cool. Just that alone, I thought was like worthy of a documentary.
Yeah.
And then including the bones found and everything. And so it was like, so I decided like right off the bat, I was like, yeah, this is going to be an interesting one for sure. So I decided to make it into a documentary after revisiting over and over again. And I was like, okay, this is a very intriguing location. It's actually one of the most intriguing investigations I've ever done. And so I was like, this deserves its own film.
Yeah.
And then another big thing happened in 2018. You heard the possession audio in the trailer. That was another big hype moment of when it comes to the reasoning why I wanted to make this into a film. And that's why I call it Evil Unearthed, is because the intentions behind the rituals was evil intentions. And then on top of that, the possession that took place there. So there was some evil that happened in this house and we did unearth some things. So that's basically how I came up with the title. I was like, so yeah, people are gonna say, oh, it's always demons and stuff like that, but it's actually the intentions behind it were not good. The kind of entity he was kind of conjure was not good, and on top of that, the abuse in the past. I find that kind of evil in my personal opinion. So like abusing a woman or children is evil to me. So yeah, so it's basically that's the reason why I put that in the title of Evil Unearthed. Some people believe it's demonic there. Some people don't think that, but to me, I think what's there is very selective on the individuals it chooses to affect. So you can go there and have absolutely no like bad feelings or anything when you're there. But there's certain individuals that when they go there have had the exact opposite experience. And I find that interesting. It's very selective on its people. And I have interviews of some of those people and what they went through. I have one of them that has had stuff follow him home every time he's been there. He has bad things happen to him when he goes back home. And so like the part where Eric is talking about like this place is evil and he believes that because of his personal experiences with the house. And Joe had personal experience there with the doppelganger, basically, when he was in the house by himself at one point in the morning when everyone else left. And he was going upstairs and he saw someone he knew in the house that was never supposed to be there.
That's
and
crazy.
Disappeared. Yeah.
That's
And that alone, being a doppelganger type thing, that alone is more associated around possible demonic.
Yeah.
So yes, this is a very psychological haunt, is what I like to call this place.
And Joe Vitale, he's no kind of fool, and he obviously likes to be, like to debunk things as well. How did he kind of rationalize that in his head, or was he unable to?
I remember him calling me that day that happened. He called me freaked out, like he was like, yeah, he's tripping out about the place at that time, and he like left after that. He was also right after that experience. He puked too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I wish all of this was recorded, but that part was not recorded. So, but if he could describe that experience in like a short, very short kind of burst, because I'm trying to like keep the film down as much as possible because you don't want films to be over way too long and you need to keep it entertaining.
Yeah.
But if you could do it in like a very quick way of explaining that story, I feel like I could possibly put that in there. But yeah, the whole doppelganger thing and then him puking right afterwards. And he also smelled sulfur during the time too, which is also
interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean, like you mentioned, you first went in there 2017. So this has been a kind of labor of love. I know we had kind of COVID in the middle of all of that kind of stuff, but this is 7 years and counting in the making.
Yeah.
How many times did you manage to get into the Monroe house, and how long for? And basically, what is your overall impression of that place now that it's all kind of done and you're kind of in the editing it all together? What kind of impression did you have leaving that property?
It's a psychological haunt for sure. And it's and when it gets extreme, it gets extreme. It's weird. It's like you have a lot of moments where there's nothing that happens, but then there's small moments where things just get a little weird. And I wasn't there for some of them, but for some other people's experiences, it's insane. I had a personal experience there back in 2017. You see that in the documentary. There's other people that had a very similar experience that don't know each other. And my personal experience was also validated by Eddie. Apparently, Nick Groff experienced what I experienced, and I don't even think that's in the film, to be honest. Sorry, I meant to say in his show. I don't think it was mentioned in his show. He told me that privately that Nick Groff even had the same personal experience as me. So I was like, huh, that's weird.
Dawson Taylor, you're just being rude. You've seen Dawson's comment. This one here.
Yep. Yeah, so
it's okay for Dawson to say that. You know Dawson pretty well, so you know kind of what he's like.
Yeah, I know Dawson. He just hates me. I'm just kidding. He doesn't. he hates everything about me. Okay, and he's gonna do a hit video on me very soon. I'm just kidding.
Dawson's just jealous.
I'm kidding. No, Dawson and I are cool. We're friends. So what was I saying? I forgot.
Well, one thing I just was saying, obviously, I said you kind of like you're working your way through this. First of all, obviously, you kind of you briefly mentioned, but you say you're about 45 minutes in terms of the full editing process of this documentary. How long do you expect it? How long do you think the full documentary will be, and when do you hope to get it kind of released?
So I want to finish the entire film this year. It's just the distributor. So I released to television now. That was like the last film, and so it really depends on the distributor. And also, I want to put this in possibly bigger film festivals. Yeah. So, I really want to focus on that because I'm also trying to really change my life as a filmmaker too. Because my dream is just to be a filmmaker, a documentary filmmaker. Let me make that clear: a documentary filmmaker, because there's a huge difference. Trust me. Because being a documentary filmmaker, I feel like is true broadcast journalism in a way, and you also have to keep them entertained, engaged, have certain give them a feel of certain emotions.
Yeah,
this one in particular is a horror documentary, and I find that intriguing because I don't think I've ever seen a horror documentary. There's found footage films out there like Paranormal Activity and Blair Witch Project, but not actual horror documentaries.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. I just don't know about it. But this might be the first of its kind, maybe, unless someone proves me wrong. So I'm really trying to go for that feel on this film. It's like a dark, creepy type of film.
Yeah,
and I like editing in that style. It's fun for me. But there is future films I probably won't go fully that route. Like there's experiment films I want to do, and that type of film. Every film is going to have its different feel. The Harrisville Haunting has a different feel than this film for sure.
I was going to say that obviously that for those that may have come across your work, obviously you kind of won plenty of awards for the Harrisville Haunting, about the Conjuring House, and obviously that's where people may have known you from, essentially where they may have first started seeing you. And that I suppose what one thing is, you first of all, with the Evil Unearthed documentary, you are already saying, even though the Harrisville Haunting won lots of awards for yourself, and but you think this Evil Unearthed one is even better than the Harrisville one, you think?
Oh, way better.
Why is that?
The storyline's better in my opinion. The house is way more mysterious and intriguing in my opinion too. The Conjuring House has had an intriguement because of the movie. Yeah. If it wasn't for the movie, there wouldn't really be it's not that. Actually, no, that's not true. They're like the story of the parents was intriguing. So that was the best part of the story of the Conjuring House, is probably the parent story. But this one was more intriguing because it's a complex one and it's a psychological haunt.
Yeah.
And I have physical evidence on these things happening in the house. Like when it comes to the rituals and possible human remains. I'm getting an answer. That's the only thing I need to film still, is I'm this September, I'm planning on, or sorry, October actually. This October, I'm planning on filming with someone that I finally found, an anthropologist, to be filmed and review the bones. So
that's really interesting. That's great. Yes. I mean, because obviously we wouldn't even talked about the bones yet. I mean, you say you found this kind of ritualistic kind of Blair Witch type figure, yeah. But also there were bones being found as well. I mean, from from your point of view, having found these and what was your reaction when you found them? And also, did you think, okay, we've got to call the police in, or was that even a thing?
Yeah, so the police
did
were
you
already
feel?
called when Nick Groff went. So police were already called. I talked to the police department myself. That's in the documentary, by the way, of me talking to the police department. Okay, what it's going to sound like is weird, but it sounds like they're covering it up because the police department said it was chicken bones. And what I found is definitely not chicken bones.
I was going to say the bones that I've seen in what you've shown me already, they're not chicken bones. That'd be one big chicken.
Yeah, that'd be one big chicken there. This thing is. It looks like one of them is an arm bone. I believe one of these ones, the radius or fuck, what was the other one? Forgot. People that know anatomy well. There's radius and there's the other one. I forgot the other one. So yeah, that one. I think that's what the bone is, and it looks like a skull piece too in there.
Right.
So just watch the film. It's going to be interesting for sure. We'll get some verification on this. I do have one of the bones. That one I do think is animal. The one I have.
Yeah.
That kept because it's really big, but looking at the anatomy of you can go look up a full on skeleton if you want. I even have a human skull over there. Right there. So I know a little bit about the skeletal structure but I need a professional that has the actual credentials.
Yeah.
You can't be like, I first off, I already figured out one of these bones. So obviously you need someone that's way more credentialed for this specific type of work right here. Yeah. So anyway,
it's amazing to me the police just were not seemingly bothered by this.
Here's my theory on that. It's a small town. I don't think they wanted to do a big investigation on a very, very old case. And I think that's the reasoning, because funding in a very small town, because the police departments are funded, and the smaller the town is, the less money they have. And so I think that's probably has something to do with it. That's my guess. But still.
Yeah, it's still crazy to me that
yeah.
they just think, possible human bones found, but and
I don't want to say
it's an old case. We don't even need to bother with that.
I don't want to say 100% for sure that this is what the police is doing. I'm not trying to put that out there. What I found doesn't look just like, maybe that person that was talking to me was just not informed properly, and then just told me chicken bones. And so there's that aspect. So I don't want to fully say that, and because I don't want to get some people in trouble.
Yeah.
So if it's just bad communication. So but what I have in the documentary is basically what I show. So yeah.
Just to kind of point out to the likes of Diane and Haley and things like that. I said I started with this this is going to be a pre-record only. There's going to be no kind of live chat and things like that. I set this stream to like a private stream, so basically it shouldn't be out in the public. But for some reason, YouTube decided to ignore that instruction, and even though I saved it, so I'm as surprised as anybody to see that this has gone live, because basically I was going to pre-record this and release it at 8 p.m. tonight UK time, and then lo and behold, as I start talking to Matt, it's like, oh, okay, we have people in the stream. Okay, that should be happening. I'll go with it. No problem. So I don't know what's happened with YouTube. I shall be, after this stream is finished, I'll be looking about why this has gone public anyway. So apologies. I was due to do this as a live thing at 8 p.m. It just so happens you've got a very early stream now. So hey ho, it's okay. It just means that we can follow the chat. It's I always like to follow the chat.
I like following the chat too. I like all these amazing people in the chat. A lot of them I'm familiar with, like Tanya, Dawson, unfortunately, and kidding, and Julie. I think I've seen Sir Spook Fest before.
Yeah.
And Mythos looks like he was just in for a moment and left. Probably because we were ignoring him for a little while. We weren't actually trying to ignore him. We were just in conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so also Steph is in here too. So people
j-
I know.
And what I wanted to do next is, and like I say that, I mean,
Might be.
I don't want to spend too long on the Conjuring House because you investigate it, you do the documentary on it. I will show everybody the trailer for the Harrisville Haunting documentary that you made a while back now, and just so people get a flavor of it, but also so you can give your take and your feel on the latest madness that is the Conjuring House at the minute, because it's an absolute shit show at the minute. So I want to get your views on that, because you have kind of I suppose an insider kind of idea of what you experienced in that place and the previous owner and your feelings about what's going on. So let me try. Let's see if I can share this properly this time. See if I can share it better than I did last time. So I'm going to share the Harrisville Haunting trailer.
Okay. And I'm over here like critiquing the shit out of this trailer because I'm like, oh my God, this old. I could do better now. I edited that thing 2 years ago. Don't know the audio.
Have you had anybody scared to investigate after coming here?
We've had a few teams leave in the middle of the night.
What the fuck?
We just caught an amazing piece of evidence right here.
It's moving! It's moving!
I've never had that ever in my whole entire life.
Now let's bring ourselves back in.
It's funny that it says pre-order now. I should have
Yeah,
that's the release date because
hang on a minute. Let me just get rid of this. There we go.
yeah.
So
Release date there.
yeah, in terms of the Conjuring House, again that was award-winning Harrisville Haunting, the Real Conjuring House documentary.
Recently.
Yeah, and obviously since you made that, there's been lots that have happened. The Cody and Satori thing, and now the Jacqueline, the new owner thing that's gone on. Obviously, you investigated the place. You can see in the documentary, investigate the place. What is your take on what you experienced compared to what a lot of people are saying about the house now?
Well, the big thing is the history. For a long time, people were going with the Bathsheba Sherman story, and that issue needed to come to light because there is absolutely no documentation on the history about Bathsheba Sherman being a witch and her killing a baby with a sewing needle and all that. Like, I don't know where that came from. Either it came from Carolyn Perrin or the Warrens. So I don't know. That was weird that was the whole thing. And I don't know who started that, but that was just not the case. There's no evidence of that. She's buried in a Baptist cemetery. If she was buried during that time period, you're either killed for being a witch or you were shamed for it. And so that was a huge issue back then. You would not be buried in a Baptist cemetery if you were being called these things. And so that's why I have serious doubts in that story. And on top of that, it was being used everywhere on YouTube. So the thing is, we investigated the place before it was widely investigated by a lot of people. It literally just opened up when we went there, and we actually went there right when COVID was starting. So,
okay.
Yeah, literally, it was when we were there, they started locking down everything. is when we were there. That's just to show you how early in the time period it was. And so we got access to the place really quickly, and so learned a lot about the place. I'm very big about history in these documentaries because, first off, you're trying to show it to over 1 million people, so that's a lot of influence into the location itself. So I want to use, if I'm putting on a platform, multiple platforms, I should say, that I want to steer them in the right direction of the place. I'm more about truth in my documentary filmmaking. I am 100% about truth about the documentary filmmaking, and that's what true documentary filmmaking is to me. It's real broadcast journalism and about a true story about a very intriguing story. Here's the thing that could be haunting the place and everything. I find that very interesting history on its own. You don't need to add a witch to it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly.
Native Americans were all around that area, and there was the King Philip's War that took place in that area, and so I find that fascinating, and I added that into the documentary because that's probably what the haunting is, in my opinion. I believe it is. This is just my opinion. I believe it's an elemental haunting. And that is also usually around Native American culture for elemental type haunts. And that's what I believe it was and still do. And people experience Native American cries and other sounds, drums, Native American drums and all that out in the forest of that area. So it does make sense to me to that's what it is for the haunting there. The thing that happened to the parents, specifically Carolyn, that could have been demonic at the time, but most demonic hauntings are associated around a person, an individual, not the house, most of the time, unless a lot of rituals are done there. Obviously, that kind of changes things. But this is.
I was just going to ask about the parents. Do you believe them? Because there are some people out there now that, because of the current owner, they're thinking, well, maybe, when you look into it, it's all of it was made up. All of it was made up. That it's not actually haunted. It's just a money-making thing for the current owner. Do you believe that what the parents' experience was genuine? What were your thoughts? Having been in that.
I do believe that. At least not all of it, but I do believe that they were experiencing certain things, and that could have been her personal experiences. Could have influenced the other narrative. Because of her. Here's the thing about demonics. They like to use other things as fear tactics. And so the whole Bathsheba thing. For example, I captured clear as day, not me. It was Eric's what is it called? I forgot what he called it. Well, his device basically came clear as day. You hear it say Bathsheba. That's not a common name.
Yeah, no.
Bathsheba for sure. And I was like, okay, that's weird. But I don't think there's actually Bathsheba Sherman there. I think it's the entity that uses it as a fear tactic. And that could be either the elemental there for that one. But for her situation, she saw they've been seeing a crooked neck lady and all that. And it's not just them, it was also the kids that were there during the daycare center. They also saw this crooked neck lady. So it could just be all fear stuff. That's trying to okay. This is all theories, by the way, guys. Obviously,
and
the paranormal.
When you were there, I'm taking it Corey was still the owner of the place when you first went over there in 2020.
Yes, Corey was the owner. Jennifer and Corey Heisen.
And what's your take on the current owner and all of the stuff, the madness that's gone on there?
I had a bad feeling about her ever since the beginning because she was overpricing the shit out of the place, and I was really annoyed about that. If I was a location owner, I would first off care about the history, the how I would like to present the location, all these things, and I would not overprice the place to where it's ridiculous amounts. And on top of that, charging them even more money for just being a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And so like you're paying on top of your like $1,000 or whatever of your investigation. On top of that, you have to pay another $300-$200 fee for just being a YouTuber. that to me is ridiculous. And so I saw bad signs in the beginning, and now more has just come to light recently, of course.
Yeah.
And but I ever since the beginning had a bad feeling about her. I was like, okay, so there's something off here. I'm very big about gut feeling, and she was on my radar about gut feeling. I've even mentioned it to Joe before all this stuff recently came out. I was like, I'm not liking this one. And yeah, so, and on top of that, she has a lot more fakers coming to this place, just trying to get the popularity up on this place.
I was going to say,
Corey was not about that. He didn't like having fakers there. And maybe he didn't know some of the ones that went there at the time that they did fake or anything. But at the time, I remember him even saying certain individual names. I'm not going to say here, but he did not want certain individuals to be at the house because they're known for faking. And so I felt like Corey and Jennifer had a lot better, the better mindset of being a location owner than this new owner. That's my opinion.
Like I said, I spoke to Corey on here, and he just seemed a really kind of an upfront guy, you know, and he cared for the property, and I think that's the difference. He genuinely cared for that place, and I am not getting that feeling from the current owner. I'm just getting that, like I say, it's very money led, and and she's kind of shot herself in the foot. I think that, you know, it's going to the reputation of that place has gone way down since probably when you first went there.
Oh yeah, it has.
Do you reckon it can be brought back, or do you reckon it's permanent?
Yeah, I think if a new owner steps in, it can be brought back, and that's a new owner that is doing it for the right reasons. That's what I think. I think personally, you should shut her business down. I think that everyone should stop paying to go visit it, and until a new owner takes over, then you can go visit it again. And that will happen if she does not start getting any sales of the place, and she would probably have to sell it. And so that's what I recommend. But she already bought it for so much money, that she would have to sell it for a lot of money. So there's only few type of individuals out there that'll be able to afford those type of things. Talking to like Zach Bagans.
I was going to say to Zach, do you reckon Zach would buy it? As long as he doesn't demolish it.
I don't know if he would. I don't know if he would, but he would not make it better for sure. Yeah. So, in my opinion, and so, yeah, there's that full aspect. That's the issue now. Now you just lowered your chances already of getting a better owner because of how pricey it's going to be now. Yeah. Because now you're going to have to look for an individual that has a lot of money and a good person. So it's like, oh no. So you're gonna have to get both of those things. So usually it's one or the other, depending. So I mean, okay, that's really a broad term, but yeah, there's that possibility. It lowers the amount of people you can choose from, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Just before we kind of finish and wrap up, I suppose, what's the latest for you? And I know you're halfway through the Evil Unearthed documentary. In terms of do you have longer term plans or other documentaries that you'd like to make, or locations you really want to go to and investigate?
I have about 5 documentary ideas in my head right now, and they're all unique and different. These first 2 are stepping stones, I would say. The others are more trying to put the paranormal into the. I'm trying to do bigger things in the paranormal space. The other ones are in the future, except for one of them. I have another Mad vs. Paranormal one that I want to do. That's going to be separate from the other stuff I mentioned. It's going to be another fun, entertaining one, I think. Yeah. And I have the perfect location for that I want to do it at. I want to say it so bad, but I feel like someone's going to steal it out there.
No, keep it to yourself. It's fine.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, because I've given an idea. I've said an idea before. Okay, this is not official or anything, but very weird coincidence that Eddie told me, the owner of the Monroe house, by the way, when I filmed Man vs. Paranormal there, that was the original documentary. He said he told Nick Groff about it, and so about what I was doing for being by myself for a certain amount of time period inside the building and everything. And I'm not even kidding you. About 5 months later, a show on his, at the time, his streaming service, VidiSpace. He had one of his friends, Johnny Hauser, started doing Johnny Hauser versus
Really?
or
Yeah.
Johnny Hauser. Yeah. It was like, I was like Johnny Hauser something. I forgot what it's called. And I was like, oh my God. I was like literally months after he told him, he said, I was like,
Yeah.
so I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to keep my ideas to myself from now on. So yeah,
I agree. Just keep these really, because obviously you're kind of full of ideas and you got this kind of big long-term plan. I mean, I suppose the big long-term plan for you is to be able to do this full time, you know, because obviously in the minute you're in the military and
already almost there.
Yeah. And so
the last film was good in how much money we made, especially for only your first film. So imagine having a collection of films that you're still getting, because we get paid every 3 months. Imagine having a film coming through every month, because having, let's say I have 3 films and I'm getting a certain amount of money every 3 months. Every month. And I think it's definitely livable.
Yeah.
I've made more money than I've ever made in my life last year. And so, and that's okay. It sounds like very unhumble, but what I just want to say this because I'm very just an open person. So if anyone wants to do this for a living, I had a dream of doing this since I was a kid, 16 years old, wanting to do this for a living. And if you put your mind and you put the work to it, like you do the work, it will come. It just literally takes a lot of time. It took me this long to finally make it into a job. So damn long. I'm not even kidding you how long it took. Like, I would say it wasn't until 2022 became a job, and I started in 2011. All the times before that, it was all money out of my own pocket. Yeah. And so and I was not making any money. It was all a hobby. So I will admit I have spent a lot in the production aspect. In like, got a $13,000 camera now for the future films. So it's the DJI Ronin 4D. I have my dream computer set up right now for doing the documentaries, so it functions better. Because I had a lot of issues on the last documentary for rendering the film, a lot of issues, and so that was a process. So I was wanting a better computer, and now 3 monitors is perfect for doing video editing, because I have an IPS monitor for color correcting. I have this monitor, and on top of that, I live stream while editing now, so I now have a monitor specifically for chat. So it's it's pretty cool. So I spent a lot of money, and that's probably why I spent it all, basically. it's not smart with that part.
But you're kind of reinvesting.
I did reinvest,
everything, you know, and just investing what what you make into better equipment, and so hopefully the quality continues, and that But like, you're right in terms of, for anybody who has ever tried making, for instance, a YouTube video, there's quite a lot of editing involved. But for when you do a documentary, it's a whole other, I think, ball game of the amount of time. And anybody who's ever seen your live streams, and just bear in mind for anybody who's watching this, you have a full-time job, then you finish, and then in the evenings you then edit for however many hours, all live streamed, and then you give yourself a couple of hours sleep, and then you're back out to work again. It's hard.
That's another thing. Like, I listen to a lot of successful people and their speeches and stuff like that, and I find it very intriguing. I have these very successful people and how much work they put into it, how much they risked until they finally made it. And that's the way I'm trying to live my life, in a way. And I'm putting myself, yes, it's unhealthy because I'm getting such little sleep. And I am in the Marine Corps right now. So I'm doing like literally the Marine Corps. And then I come home during the weekdays. I come home and then edit for a very long period of time. And then I get off the live stream around 1 o'clock in the morning, and then try to go to sleep. And usually I don't fall asleep for like an hour or two. And then I get my 3 hours or 2 hours of sleep every single night. until it's the weekends. Then I get a 7 hours, 8 hours of sleep during the weekends.
Lying.
Yeah.
just to take it easy the weekend.
Yeah, and then I still edit during the weekends. So it's like that's my only break period is the weekends. And so it's like it's unhealthy. I know it's going to catch up to me, but I'm only in the Marine Corps for a year and 5 months now left. So after I'm done with that, I don't have to worry about that anymore. I could start getting better sleep again. So I am in the risk factor that you need to take big risks.
Yeah.
Like for me, I was single at the time, and all I had to do was worry about myself. And so I decided to literally only do part-time job and work on that documentary so much that I had no life. I was editing so much for the Harrisville Haunting. When I went to Vegas and was doing it there, and I was just nonstop editing. I have about probably 400 hours of editing on that first documentary.
Crazy amounts of hours.
Yeah, that it was insane. And then, but I was in my mind, even though I barely had enough money for food, barely had enough money for anything, because I was also spending a lot of money on music and sound design stuff that I had to do for the film, and then all these other aspects I had to pay for the film, because post-production is expensive. It's not going to be as expensive anymore because I'm using a lot of the same music that I used in the last film.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, when I say music, sound packs and everything that I purchased. Same aspect for this. I purchased a lot more sound packs though for this film, so I spent around $1,000 in just music alone, and that's not counting the licensing stuff that I need for some other things like After Effects stuff I do. Sometimes I use presets for After Effects, and then I spent around I don't know how much I spent on that one actually, but it gets pretty pricey doing post-production. Right now I have $120 of licensed images that I need to purchase pretty soon, and plus the monthly payments on my programs that I use. So
I just wanted to say, for those that want to kind of are interested in the documentary and things like that, I mean, I'm assuming they can follow and subscribe to the Devil's Hour production. Is it Devil's Hour Production on YouTube? And like I say, in terms of social media, how can people kind of follow you other than YouTube?
Devil's Hour Productions is my main source to where you can see what I'm doing. And then also my Instagram is Real Matt Benton. I technically have Devil's Hour Productions and Paranormal Research Unit on also on there, but I mainly just use my personal Instagram. I don't really use my other one. So yeah, so the Real Matt Benton Instagram, and then Facebook, just Matt Benton. So you'll find me there.
Great
That's
stuff.
my photo. Yeah.
Right.
It's mainly the YouTube channel though. So
I think we'll want to kind of leave it there. Thank you so much, Matt, for coming on. I really do appreciate your time, particularly as it's kind of late for you. And like I say, I know you mentioned before we came on that you've got to get up fairly early. Was it 5:30 in the morning, ready for?
I have to be up before that because I have to be there at 5:30. So
okay, even better.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on. And and so like I say, please do follow everybody at home, Devil's Hour Productions, and then you can just track. And obviously Matt does the live streams of his editing process as well, so if you're interested in that, you can follow on. It's usually kind of late night in America when you do that. If you're in America, that's what time do you normally start your live streams? Is it kind of about 10 or something like that?
I usually start my live streams around I would say around 7-8 p.m. my time. Usually when I start it. Sometimes I get like a nap in before I start, and then then I get into it. So yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for coming on. It is fascinating as ever. Thank you. Like I say, I'm really, really looking forward to the Evil Unearthed documentary. I like I say, just been seen snippets of the documentary, and from following your live streams, I think you've played, I think about the little 5-minute kind of clips of it. It does look really intriguing. Looks crazy in lots of different ways, and I know there's only more to come as well, which is great. You've probably got another hour of documentary still to put out there. So really looking forward to it. So thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully I'll see you follow Matt and follow his journey in terms of until this documentary comes out. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on, man.
No
Like I said,
problem.
go to bed, sleep, for God's sakes.
Eh.
All right.
Yes.
Right. Thank you. Anyway, so thank you so much. And I just want to have a quick chat to everybody. So I'll just say goodbye to you for the moment, Matt, if that's okay.
Okay. Just kidding.
One second. All right.
Sounds
Cheers. Thank you so much, Matt. Cheers.
No problem. Bye.
Yeah, that was an interesting one this evening. Like I say, I was not planning on doing this live stream live. Like I said, I was just going to be releasing this at 8 p.m. So apologies, and if you see any comments from me saying, "Oh, this is going to be a pre-recorded interview," that was the intention. Trust me. I'd set up YouTube for it to kind of not be alive. But yeah, it's all good. And like I say, thank you so much. If you are joining us, those people that come in and you just happen to have been on YouTube and just happen to have caught the live. I apologize that it's 12 hours early, but I hope you've also enjoyed it as well. So yeah, so as ever, thank you so much for your support. Please do kind of like, subscribe, and share this around as well. Like I say, it's a bit of the wrong time for things, but please do. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to next week. We've got a lady called Kate Ray on next week. I met her at a recent paranormal convention. I thought her kind of subject matter was nuts, but it's genuinely really, really intriguing. So she is going to be talking about dwarves. Yeah, you heard that right. Not dwarves, sorry, gnomes. And let's get it right, gnomes. And yeah, at first when I heard her talking about gnomes, I'm like, come on, this is ridiculous. No, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. But the more she talked, the more intrigued I was. And by the end of her talk, I was like, okay, I need to get her on. Because it is just beyond mad. It's kind of like a rabbit hole to go down. And the paranormal is such a weird place. Yeah, we're gonna go down this gnome avenue because yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a crazy one. So anyway, that is next week. I will be doing it live, genuinely live for 8 p.m. in the UK time when we talk about gnomes. Wish me luck. I don't know how it's gonna go, but it is such a weird subject matter. I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, thank you for joining me, and I shall see you again next week. All right, guys. Bye-bye for now.